just say good afternoon to everyone who is on this call, which is being recorded so that we can share it with other providers in Maryland EXCELS that were interested in learning about the opportunity to support other programs in Maryland EXCELS. I'm Jenna Smith. I'm the Director of Quality Improvement and Initiatives. And on our call today, we are joined by Megan Leach and Vicki DeSanto, who are program coordinators in the Quality Improvement and Initiative branch, as well as Patricia Aburn, who is a quality assurance specialist in Baltimore City and is our lead quality assurance specialist for a pilot program that we're doing specifically with the 21206 zip code, and Brittany Frazier, who is our community outreach specialist, is a key person in supporting this outreach and this pilot. And so I'm going to ask if Tammy Malone can please unmute and just introduce herself real quickly. And most importantly, tote that brand new Maryland EXCELS quality rating that happened not too long ago. And then we can get started with the presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tammy Malone, and I am a quality rating 5. And my program has also been accredited through the NAFCC, and I'm just excited to be here to hear about the new mentoring program.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for joining us. And I'm going to pass it over to Brittany, who's going to introduce the Maryland EXCELS Mentoring Pilot Program and be able to provide us with some great information. So Brittany, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to everyone for joining us today, especially you, Tammy. Yay. Thank you for making the time to join us and to help us figure out what we're going to be doing with this mentoring pilot. Today, we're going to be doing a few things. We can progress. There we go. We're going to be going through the purpose of our pilot. We're going to look at a proposal that we have simply because I think it's easier to start with an example and to shape things from there. And then we're going to have a feedback and discussion portion of today's meeting too. But really at any point, it's a small group today. It's mostly Maryland EXCELS staff. If at any point anyone wants to jump in with a thought, please do, since we're pretty small in numbers today. All right, so first things first, we're going to look at the purpose of our pilot. Right now, we are sort of in a push to look at all of the programs that are having a quality rating 1 or a quality rating 2 and looking at how we can help people improve those quality ratings. Currently we have, yeah, here are our numbers right now. We currently have 4,571 programs participating and having a published quality rating. Of those, about 65% have a quality rating 1 or a 2.
I could hear them.
So, yep. So looking at the research, we know that peer support can be really effective in helping people move forward, learning from others who are relatable to them, hearing their stories and getting help from people on those peer levels can be really, really key. So we would like to explore a mentoring program, and specifically in a pilot area that we're going to look at next. But our goal is that 25% of the mentees in that pilot would reach a quality rating 2 by January 2026. We think that that should be pretty attainable, giving people a year to get there, looking at only 25% of a small group in that pilot. But that would allow some of those programs to access support from Judy centers. There are 6 of the pilot programs that would be eligible to do that. And it would provide them with a bonus, which they could use for further improvements as well. So we actually currently quietly have a pilot running in the 21206 zip code. And this is the information from that area and why we chose it. Currently in that area, there are 44 programs that have a quality rating 1. And of those, 30 of those programs have been a quality rating 1 for more than 5 years. So we have a large number of programs that have been kind of sitting in the same spot for a long time. We have in that zip code a Judy Center at Moravia Park Elementary. That is one of our strongest Judy Centers. They're very collaborative with us and very responsive and wanting to support programs. We have the Baltimore City Child Care Resource Center, wonderful CCRC that is also really a good partner for us and very responsive. We have Baltimore City ECAC, the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success, and Bel Air Edison Association too. So this is a neighborhood that has a lot of support open to it. And we feel like if we can be successful in the zip code, we can be successful in a lot of other areas as well. And also demographically, it's a good exemplar for the rest of the state. It looks pretty similar to the average Maryland zip code. So going into just kind of things that we're thinking right now for a proposal, just to give us a starting point. We're looking at mentor responsibilities would be attending an initial meet and greet. This would either be virtual or in person. We think it would be fun to be in person, but virtual would also be a lot easier and more convenient probably. So that's something that we can think about. Offering one-on-ones to assign mentees, of which there will be no more than 5. We don't want any of our mentors overwhelmed by the number of people that they would be assisting. And we'll also get into what each of these things looks like too. But for one-on-one assistance, that could really look like anything that the mentor chose or preferred. Participating in at least one arranged activity every year that we would be arranging for the mentors and the mentees to come to. Keeping a log of the time spent just for our purposes and kind of keeping notes and being able to publish a report. Possibly we would need to know the numbers on how much time was spent mentoring and providing that one-on-one assistance, and helping us complete surveys and participating in a mid-year check-in meeting just to see how things are going and what needs to be touched up. So of those activities that we just mentioned, providing one-on-one assistance, again, that could look like anything that a mentor preferred. Some examples might be hosting virtual office hours, saying, I'm available on Thursday nights from 5 to 6. If anybody wants to sign up to either have a virtual meeting or to call me during that time, I can be available to help. Answering calls or emails as you're available, if that works for you. Informal networking and socializing too. So just kind of hanging out at a park one day together, talking about your Maryland EXCELS quality rating and the documentation that you're working on. It can really be anything that someone prefers. Participation in arranged activities. So that could look like something like a quarterly Q&A panel that we put together of those expert child care providers and allowing people to come and ask you questions. And also having our team available during that time to answer questions that are specific to Maryland EXCELS and documentation requirements moving up. Appearing in videos to model best practices and Maryland EXCELS standards. We're looking at kind of building out a video library using providers and real examples of what our standards are and how people are using things like their lesson plans and their philosophy statements. Tours of your program environment. This is something that I personally find really helpful when I'm learning something, is seeing in person an example of like a really high quality, garden or house. Having a visual example and being able to tour that, I think, is really cool. Attending a local cohort or work group meetings to provide advice and support. So we actually often have this already, I think. Often in a cohort or work group meeting, there is someone who can share examples of the documentation that they use to move up. And so we're kind of doing that already, but having a mentor available during those times would also be wonderful. So on the mentee side, their responsibility would be attending that initial meet and greet too, participating in at least one arranged activity and interacting with the mentors, getting that one-on-one assistance, completing surveys and participating in quarterly meetings to check on the progress. So just like we did with the mentors too. And on our side, we would be creating and tracking the logs for mentors and mentees, arranging activities and sharing that information, and making sure everyone's getting invited, communicating all of that effectively, sending surveys and arranging quarterly meetings to assess the progress and collect that data, and then reporting the results to our stakeholders too. The expected time commitment for mentors and mentees is that we would have a time commitment of at least 4 hours. We would kind of hope for more, but so much of that depends on, how many mentees we have, how responsive they are, how much they reach out for help, and how much they show up to activities. So we wanted to set the bar at a really reasonable number, especially because we know, you all are very busy. You have very demanding jobs. So if we can have at least 4 hours, we think that that would be a reasonable amount. And that would be between January 2024 and that would be between January 2025 and 2026, because we're coming into 2025. Pardon my typo there. So we would be starting in January 2025, hopefully, and then the pilot would run through January 2026. And then more activities above that 4 hours would be optional. So I'd like to gather your thoughts and input. I can go back and look at each of these slides together. You can start here with the mentor responsibilities and move on. Again, all of this is just an example that we're starting with. So we're really open to ideas and suggestions. And especially if you see anything that you think isn't reasonable or will work, please point that out to us and let us know.
Hello.
Hi, Tammy.
Yeah, hey.
I wanted to say that when you were talking about the for the meet and greet, that having it virtual, that can definitely be a great option, considering that we coming up on a lot of, they talking about COVID and everything coming back. It's just that I feel, cause what I wanted to share is I was in a group that made me wanted to participate as being a mentor. I was in I took a class with B Triple C RC. I was in a class with them, and we had to split up in groups. And in that group, it was like 8 of us in our group. And when I shared with them that I was a level 5, and sharing with them that I had just got my accreditation, the ladies in that group was like, can you help me? Can you help me? It's so many providers that are eager to wanting to help, that are really stuck. So what I did was I extended that, offer to them, and I tell them how I went right to the toolkit. I'm like, it's right there. And it's not like just giving them, it's like showing them where I went and what I had, because I had to put in some work as well. So I'm like, y'all just go to the toolkit, pull this out and tap it here. And they had been on the roll. So when you came out when I got this email, I was like, I'm already doing this, so I'm just going to jump into it. So I think, being virtual and the activities, and what we do is we set up a time and date where we try to have a outing. So that's some similar is to it, and activity. We try to have an outing at least like once a month, or we'll get on someone created a little Zoom meeting where we just jump on and everybody talk about their day or their experiences that they've been having. So I think it's a great idea, and it can be done.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm so glad to hear that you shared the toolkit with them. We always try to promote that to people who are feeling stuck, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and we think that it can be done too. Sometimes people just need that personal connection, and we offer it through our team, but it's different when it comes from someone who is your peer, and we definitely know that too. So yeah, thank you for providing your input on that.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any thoughts right now about the activities that we proposed? imagine anything else that might go in here or something different? If all of this sounds great too, that's fine.
Basically, I think it's a good start, Brittany, but a lot of it depends on who's involved, and I think you've left space for it to evolve into what meets the needs of those who are participating.
So one thing I did want to check on too is this expected time commitment, just to make sure, like, does this sound realistic?
I definitely think it sounds realistic. And I think to answer the question that Patty said about, do we have the mentees? I think that that's where we're looking at that very targeted population to be able to kind of not necessarily match up like a one-to-one, but to be able to provide opportunity, even similar to what Tammy had just, provided in her own past experience, and to why, she had felt that this would be something that she would be interested in learning more about, is that we can really set this up and then invite people to what we have, right? We don't have to say that this person's going to be paired up with this person. Just as Vicky said, it kind of opens up our door to flexibility. If we can find a few providers whom, really are interested in increasing their rating, who are interested in understand, who are not just interested in, but really recognize the benefits of working with a provider whom has had success through Maryland EXCELS and with accreditation and all of those things, and really can help push somebody to really feel very confident in their ability to do things. I think, we'll definitely be able to find some folks who would be very interested in the opportunity. But I'm thankful that Tammy brought up the example of, just the fact that just by her saying who she is and what she did and has been able to accomplish made people want to ask her questions about how she got to where she was and is now, right? Because that's really what we think is going to happen, in regards to people really being able to relate to the fact that, Tammy has children in her home every day and interacts with families every day, and maintains license and compliance every day, and does all of those things in addition to becoming accredited, maintaining high levels of professional development, and most importantly, being able to publish a quality rated 5. So Tammy's a great example of just really how, with priority and goal setting and resource, that you really can achieve, those types of goals.
And Brittany, I don't know whether you can see, but Rosemary Henry has joined us.
Oh, great.
So Rosemary may want to unmute and introduce herself.
Yeah, absolutely. Rosemary, if you would like to introduce yourself, please do. It's also okay if you can't unmute right now. All right. Yeah, and just to build on what Jenna was saying, we've been looking so far primarily at this 21206 zip code, but also as we've been going through, rolling out new resources for that zip code, we found more and more that we're just making things that are useful for everyone. And so we've kind of rolled out a few of those things across the state as we've been going. So I think that our next step is to reach out to find out if we have enough mentees in that zip code to build out a good pilot. But if we don't receive a good response from 21206 specifically, we're very open to opening up this opportunity to a larger audience as well. And the same goes with our pool of mentors. We tried originally with just people who are on the east side of the city because we thought they might be easier to reach for people who are in Northeast 21206 zip code up here. But we kind of had to expand from there because we didn't get enough people responding. But it's still a good thing that we've reached out and broadened that audience. And, we now have a fair amount of interest from people across the state. So I think that it is very, very flexible. We will continue to look at changing our plans and kind of expanding this to more people as we're able to. Yes, yep, Patty, we do. So I think for right now, it seems like we don't have a whole lot of questions or concerns. So if anyone has any final thoughts before we wrap up, we can definitely, hi, Rosemary. Oh, okay, Betty Jo Davis, hi. Sorry about your sound though. We will definitely share the recording with you after this too, so hopefully you'll be able to listen to it that way. We are just starting to wrap up our conversation today. We've had, a small group and some interaction already, but Betty Jo, I'm going to kind of run back through this pretty quickly for you, just because I'd like to capture your input too, and you're welcome to add any questions or thoughts in the chat. So we kind of went through, we went through our proposal for the mentoring program. Here we have the mentor responsibilities, and I'll send this over to you as well. We'll be sending out a feedback form for you to think about. Just in case you have any thoughts after this meeting. I know I am often not brilliant on the spot, but that's a good way for you to share your thoughts on this as well, Betty Jo. So that's what we're thinking for mentor responsibilities there. Mentor activities, these are all just proposed ideas at this point. Anything can change. We're very flexible. So if you have any ideas, please feel free to send those to us after the meeting. The mentee responsibilities. The Maryland EXCELS responsibilities here. We talked about our time commitment being at least 4 hours, and I have a typo here, which I will make sure to address when I send out the email again, but it's at least 4 hours between January 2025 and 2026. But more hours than that would be optional. And we're kind of going back to discuss, so we're wrapping up today, but please take a look at the recording and let me know if you have any other thoughts too. But does anyone want to chime in before we end today? All right. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time and for coming to our meeting. Betty Jo, I know you came on at the end, but I really appreciate you coming as well. And I hope that you are able to look at the recording and give us some thoughts as well. And again, for everyone involved, we'll send out a form for you to kind of add in your thoughts, just in case you think of anything after the meeting.
Thanks, Brittany. I appreciate you leading the activity, and for our participants today, particularly those who are in our provider community. And we look forward to your feedback, and most importantly, to working with you on this initiative of getting your peers to be able to access you for your knowledge and your experience.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to end the meeting now. Have a good day, everyone.